of Teachur. We're a platform for developing and offering validated learning. And our first big offering is a college degree for $1,000. This is an accredited college degree for $1,000. But let me back up a little bit. As you may know, the average cost for a college degree today in the United States is $120,000. Have you borrowed or know someone who's borrowed more than, say, $10,000 for education? Raise your hand. Pretty much everyone. And to add an emphasis to that, the average graduate leaves college with a bachelor's degree with $35,000 of debt. These are two staggering numbers. And to add insult, the trends don't look good either. The prices are continuing to climb, the debt load is continuing to get bigger. This is becoming a crisis in the United States. And the reason these prices aren't going down is because higher education institutions are closed systems. There's no competition, though there is competition between other closed institutions. There's nothing that that customers can go to outside of the institutions. You either go to Stanford or you go to Cal. But basically you sign up for an institution and it determines the terms, the cost, the offerings, the schedule, the location, the records. These are all designed for the convenience and maintenance of the institution. You can violate the terms, but then you don't get the degree. So they hold all the power, you're at their mercy. Now, of course, you can learn outside of the institution, for example, on the job learning. But it won't count towards your degree unless you learn how and where they tell you to learn. It's a bit like a building inspector who will only approve your building if you bought it from him. Do you suppose there could be any conflict of interest in a scenario like that? But you may be saying, but wait, what about these MOOCs and open educational resources and iTunes University? Isn't all this information freely available online for really cheap or free? And the answer, of course, is yes. It's mostly all freely available in abundance. So why are these tuition numbers so outrageous? We know that the information is freely available in abundance, so these staggering prices are just a reflection of a manufactured scarcity. And we think the reason is because there's been too much focus on content delivery. So this iTunes University, MOOCs, these are all replicating content delivery from the university. We have lectures for thousands of courses you could take. But they're neglecting other institutional dependencies. And it takes more than just access to information to challenge the status quo. So in order for us to truly disrupt education, we need to replicate not only the teaching and instruction, but the degree requirements and learning pathways, what are the requirements, and secure verification of student identity and mastery. Otherwise, we're still subject to the same colleges and universities for a critical piece. Of course, we see a lot of different companies addressing one, and degree requirements are freely published on university department pages, but no one has kind of collected those to say, here is what a degree in computer science consists of. Here's what a degree in biology consists of. They haven't collected those. And number three, no one's really trying to replicate secure collection or verification of student identity and mastery. So without these are all central, just as central to the traditional educational experience. And this neglect seems to us to account for why technology hasn't fundamentally disrupted education. Without two or three, it's still an open circuit only completed by returning to those same institutions. And the Teachur, our platform, this is our pitch, this is our endeavor, this is our mission, is to answer all three of these, to be able to do this in a compelling way. So number one, for teaching and learning, we have a platform where anyone can build curriculum, anyone can use lectures that have been published in these other places on YouTube, on iTunes University, and so forth. So we're leveraging the work that has already been done to address number one. For number two, our platform makes it easy for anyone or any community to gather, share, and design degrees in light of conventional requirements, and for any community to publish, share, customize, personalize degree requirements, learning pathways in a way that are comparable to any degree, or to make new degrees. And last, this isn't new to this audience, but blockchain technology can stand in the place of institutions for verifying identity and mastery. So now you know what we're trying to do. Let me show you a little how this works on Teachur. So the Teachur platform, our learning modules are divided into 4 different hierarchically organized modules. So degrees are made up of courses, courses are made up of lessons, lessons are made up of objectives, and objectives are the fundamental unit on our platform. And an objective is a measurable learning event that we can say, okay, yes, this person has mastered this objective, or no, they have not. And for each objective, we have relevant media resources. So if you don't know, if you haven't mastered the objective yet, we'll point you to some resources, though we'll also say, however you want to learn this, it's fine with us. We don't care how you learn, we don't care where you learn. We're just going to validate that you have learned if you have in fact learned. So objectives are to Teachur what courses are to universities. We have instructional content and assessments for each objective, and students can receive a record, a permanent record, secure record for each objective. And we think, and this gives us a lot more flexibility and a lot more robustness than what you would find in a university that can give you a transcript that will only list the courses you took. And of course, Biology 101 at University A versus Biology 101 at University B could be totally different, or even at the same university. Biology 101 taught by Professor X versus Professor Y could be totally different. So we don't really get an idea of what you have mastered. So this is our first degree. It's a philosophy degree, and this is what it looks like. You get on and you can see there's a short description. We also have an intro video that kind of goes through, here's what to expect from the degree, here's the kind of coursework we'll be offering. And then you open up into the courses. This is a course on Intro to Philosophy. You can see there are course goals, and I'm going to go into this third lesson, Intro, I Think, Therefore I Am. Anyone know the person who said that? Okay, good. Okay, so we can go into this lesson, and we see in this lesson that there are 2 objectives. One is summarize Descartes' argument that concludes with the claim, I think, therefore I am, and the other, explain why Descartes is considered by many to be the father of modern philosophy. So if we go into these objectives now, we can see here's some resources that will, so this is the first one, summarize Descartes' argument, and we have, here's a YouTube video that will help someone who is unfamiliar with this argument, introduce them to the argument and help them understand what it is. Other resources is a page from Philosophy Pages, just going over this argument, and we also, can't show it here, but have the original text from Descartes' Meditations where he goes through this argument. So we have resources, media resources to help someone master this. Though again, we don't care where you learn. You could learn it from your buddy. You could learn it from a Descartes meetup you organize. We don't care where you learn. We're just going to help you validate that. So again, degrees are made up of courses. Courses are made up of lessons. Lessons have objectives, and objectives include relevant media and assessments tied to those specific objectives. So we know you have mastered that, or we have a good idea that you've mastered that objective. So now let me get into, so that's the structure. Now let me get into the different types of assessments we have. We have, as the slide shows, 3 types of assessments: a self-assessment, computer-scored assessment, and an expert-validated assessment. So if we go into this lesson with these 2 objectives, you'll notice that the circles are white. You see those there? And that just means, okay, this objective, we haven't done anything with this objective. And I can start by saying, well, I just know that I have mastered this objective. I don't need anyone else to tell me. I don't need to prove it to anyone. I can just say, yeah, I've mastered these. And I can, if I click on these, this is me just saying, yeah, I have self-assessed mastery of these objectives, and can turn this blue. Now, it may not mean anything to anyone else, but it's meaningful to me to say, yes, I've mastered this. And if I have a whole bunch of objectives like that, it can be comforting and reassuring for me to say, yes, I have mastered these objectives. But then, to give it a little more legitimacy, I can now take a computer-scored test. And the test will be comprised of questions that are tied to the objectives that I have mastered, or the objectives from the course. So after I take the test, it will show me, well, you're really strong on these objectives, you could maybe use some more work on these objectives. But that's a little more legitimacy that, now it's not just me saying I've mastered these, but I've taken a test that has assessments tied to these specific objectives. So once I've taken the test, now these circles are green. And again, this just conveys that I've taken a computer score test. Now it could be that I just asked my buddy to take the computer score test for me. So it's not really reflecting of my mastery. So next, I can get on with an expert, a Descartes expert for these objectives, and get on with them and say, and they can ask more open-ended questions and just say, for example, so tell me about this argument that ends with the claim I think they're false, and they can judge whether I have mastered it or not. And think back to your college experience. When did you ever get this kind of detailed attention and verification of what you have mastered? I'd be really surprised if anyone could say that they had any kind of anything approaching this. You may have an overall interview with a professor that could say, that may approach something like this, but where we can get into each specific objective and verify that you have learned it, this is substantial. And we're seeing this from the expert's view, where they can say, yes, this person has mastered this objective. And when they do that, now the circles are orange, and this means I have self-assessed, I've demonstrated mastery on a computer-scored assessment, and an expert has verified that I have mastered this. So this is a much stronger, I would argue, a much stronger claim on mastery of this objective than you would find at conventional universities. And this is then time-stamped to our blockchain that will say, yes, at 5 p.m. on February 25th, Ben Blair demonstrated mastery of the objective, explain Descartes' argument that ends in the claim, I think, therefore I am. And then I can compile that with any of my other objectives that I have mastered, and that becomes part of my permanent, secure record written to the blockchain, and this record is now more secure, more robust, more flexible than what I would get at a conventional university. And we think there are lots of uses for anyone who wants to help contribute to verified learning, or do their own learning and get their learning verified, no matter where they come into the scene or what they want to demonstrate. We have a place for them. So that is Teachur, and that's what we've got.
We don't have time for questions.
Okay.
But please contact